Okay, this was yesterday's trading, and I have started here with my indicators on the 4-hour chart. And you can see I've added a new one down at the bottom I'm kind of playing around with. It's the Relative Volatility Index, and the peaks and the highs do seem to match up with peaks and highs, of course, on the main chart, the candles. And it doesn't look vastly different than the RSI to me. So I'm honestly thinking it's probably a little bit redundant. I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. But anyway, it's kind of interesting to look at. And it is showing that the price action is very low, both the RSI and the Relative Volatility Index. It's on the lower end of it's almost oversold area. So, and then the MACD, even though it's dropping right now, I do think there is signs that perhaps it's losing momentum in its drop. And when you look at the candles on the chart, it's very much downtrending right here. But when you zoom in a little bit further, you can start to see, you can barely see the MACD at the bottom of the screen here on the 20-day 1-hour chart. You can see that the MACD is starting to turn up a little bit, and it might just go up to the yellow SMA, which has been, it's been using as a resistance level up to this point. So it's possible it'll just go up that far. It is possible that it'll break through that and go further. I don't know at this point. All right, and when you zoom in a little bit further, you can start to see a little bit more of the upward momentum coming, which shows, let's go back to that last screen again. So let's look at the resistance level it's at about, I'd say 53.20-ish, something like that, 53.15. All right, so keep that number in mind, 53.15. That's a good distance above where we are now. And you can see on the 15-minute chart here, that would be just about where the blue SMA is. And the MACD is definitely coming up. We're starting to lose that downward momentum and make a little bit of a turn. If I drew a line, actually you can kind of see it with the orange SMA here, the one on the bottom. It's starting to curve up a little bit. It's starting to lose that downward momentum. So you can see that pretty clearly here. All right, and then on the 5-minute chart, we're just kind of watching the peaks and troughs that it's forming as it's doing this bigger movement. And right now it's getting ready for a downturn. And on the 1-minute chart, you can see that it's taken that downturn between these two shots. I think I get a little confused sometimes. And it is tracking and using the orange SMA here as the support when it keeps going down and hitting it. And we are right at that support right now. So the 1-minute chart is telling me that I think we're going to go up. Now the MACD on the 1-minute chart here is kind of disagreeing with that. It's pretty high and looks like it's going to drop here soon. There's the indicators for the 1-minute chart, and you can see that the Relative Volatility Index is super duper low, which encourages me to think that it might be going up here soon. Hasn't made that turn yet, but it looks like there's the potential for it very soon. The RSI is losing that upward momentum. The last peak there is lower than the one before it. So, and the MACD is starting to turn and go down. So those are reasons to think that it's actually dropping instead. But I went with the model that it was going up. And at this point right here, you can see that last candle that is currently in formation was starting to break through and start to go up a little bit. It looked to me at this point like it was going to hold at that orange SMA. So I got into a long here. It was a little bit of a risky trade, honestly. There was a lot of evidence to think that it was going down. I was trading on the very short-term movement there and with the very, very long-term momentum and change in trend that I could see possibly coming. But it is premature. So Anyway, so I put my stop and my resistance level in, and we're looking at about a $40 stop here. So for a about a $3,500 account size. So that's not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. And I put my hopeful exit order up at the top there at that last peak. So I figured that might pan out pretty well. I didn't know. And actually kind of dropped down and bent that orange SMA over and kind of broke through it. And now it's kind of holding at the yellow SMA and the blue SMA. So I'm hoping that it will start to go up here soon. MACD is looking good here. Next slide, it's kind of testing that blue SMA, and it's concerning a little bit. And it broke through it big time right after 9 o'clock, not even opening bell yet. Had a big movement, went right down to my stop, but did not take it. And so I wasn't horribly surprised that this had happened, but I was pretty sure that at some point it was going to get up there again. So I did lower down my stop just a couple points, not much, down to 48.50. It used to be at 250. Now I lowered it to 248.50. So I just lowered it just a tiny little bit, just below that yellow SMA, or the orange SMA, excuse me. But on the 5-minute chart here, you can see that MACD, of course, is not looking good, which we saw previously. All right, 1-minute chart, you can see it's continuing that drop, and I am expecting to get stopped out. So this would be a $50 loss for me. And I chose to do it this way. When it bounced up here and then started to drop again, the third candle back there, I changed my my limit order here. I lowered it down, so I'm actually my limit order is at a loss position because it's under my buy order. The order that my entry order, my original entry order. And I changed it to selling two. So I'd get into a short position and get out of my long position on the same order. And so then I would get into a short at this point. And that's exactly what happened. It filled. And so now I'm sitting in a short position because I realized I made a mistake. This isn't really going to happen. And by doing it like that, I cut a couple $10, actually more than that, $20 out of my losses, which was pretty big. So I think that was a wise move, even though, reversing like that's usually not something I like to do. But I do think I made a bad call here. So on the 1-minute chart, you can see the MACD is starting to turn up a little bit, possibly might be turning completely up, and I will have made a mistake here, but I don't think so. So I got into a short here, placed my stop and my limit, as you can see, and I do think it'll probably drop another good long ways there if it does drop. All right, it's 9:20 right now, and so the opening bell still hasn't come. Not sure what's going to happen at this point. The 1-minute chart's still looking pretty bad. The MACD has crossed, but we're right at where I got in, so I haven't actually lost anything yet on this particular trade. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly what happened here. So this was really weird. I think the phone glitched somehow, because if you look at this order, go back one, I was in a short. I had a stop and a buy. A stop and a limit. They were both buys and they were both one. But then when you look here, all of a sudden I'm in a long position. So somehow it reversed my order again, and I didn't have a reverse order in. So I do not understand how I got into a long position. I'm glad I did, because it went up, made me some money here. So anyway, I got out, put my exit order in here, and I just went with it, and my stop order in here. And I put my exit order in at that 5268 level, which is the blue SMA on the 5-minute chart here, because I thought that would be a likely place to get out and that would be a decent trade. And then it dropped some more. So I ended up losing some today until I traded one last trade in the evening. I kept making kind of bad calls, and it wasn't completely my fault, because somehow whenever I'd place a trade with a bracketed order like that, it would get me into a reverse order instead of getting me out. And so that was kind of throwing me. So this one of the last trades I made, I had to just place an exit order in just to get out of a position entirely. So I ended up not losing a whole lot. I think it was like I was at a $40 loss for until the evening trade, where I left it in overnight and made back my losses and made a little bit of money that evening, last night, as the market was starting to go up again. So anyway, that was yesterday's trading. Not the best show, but I don't think it was completely my fault either. So